Have you ever looked at a plain OL penny and thought, this thing is worthless? Well, hold on to your magnifying glasses because today, we're talking about a 2002 D. Lincoln penny that sold for a jaw-dropping $1.7 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A single, tiny penny that could buy you a mansion, a Ferrari, or at the very least, pay off your in-laws so they stop borrowing money. I know what you're thinking. How do I find one? Did I just spend a fortune without knowing it? Should I be flipping over my couch cushions right now? Stick around because we're diving deep into the story behind this coin, what makes it so valuable, and how you can spot hidden treasures in your own pocket change. First, let's talk about why the 2002 D. Lincoln penny is causing such a frenzy. Now, normally, pennies from 2002 aren't exactly rare. In fact, billions were minted that year, which means most of them are about as exciting as watching paint dry. But every once in a while, the mint makes a little oopsie, a tiny, accidental masterpiece that turns an everyday coin into a jackpot. So what makes this particular 2002 D penny so special? Well, this specific coin is a known mint error, and not just any error. It's a double die variety with a crazy off-center strike, and it was struck on a bronze planchet instead of the standard zinc-coated copper planchet. If that sounds like a lot of fancy numismatic mumbo-jumbo, let me break it down for you in plain English. Basically, the coin got printed, kinda wrong, but in a really valuable way. It was supposed to be your standard run-of-the-mill penny, but because of a minting mix-up, it ended up on the wrong metal. That alone makes it rare, but when you throw in the doubling of the design and an off-center strike, boom, instant million-dollar penny. Now, here's the kicker. This wasn't just any OL lucky find. The guy who found it, he wasn't even a hardcore collector. He was just a dude sorting through some pocket change, probably trying to scrounge up enough cash for a gas station coffee. He noticed something off about the penny, got it checked out, and the next thing you know, he's sitting on a $1.7 million gold mine. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I get in on this? Well, my friends, this is where it gets fun. If you want to increase your chances of finding a valuable coin, you gotta do what collectors call coin roll hunting. This is when you head down to your bank, grab a few rolls of pennies, and start sifting through them like you're panning for gold in the Wild West. You'll need a good magnifying glass, some patience, and maybe a snack because trust me, it's addicting. Look for the 2002 D mint mark. That's the little D under the year on the obverse, the front of the penny. Check for doubling on Lincoln's profile and the lettering. If it looks blurry or like there's a shadow effect, you might have a double die error. Inspect for an off-center strike. If the design isn't centered correctly, that's a big deal. Does it look different from a normal penny? If it seems a little too dark, too light, or the wrong shade of copper, it could be on the wrong metal. Now, let's talk money. While the $1.7 million version of this coin is the holy grail, other error pennies from 2002 have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. A double die alone can fetch anywhere from $100 to $5,000 depending on condition. A misaligned strike could bring in a few $100. And if you find one that's both an error and in great condition, well, my friend, you might just be looking at a serious payday. First, never underestimate a penny. It might be worth way more than 1 cent. Second, treasure could literally be sitting in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. And third, coin collecting isn't just for history buffs and old guys with magnifying glasses. It's a real-life treasure hunt that anyone can join. Have you ever found a rare coin in your change? Are you gonna start digging through your penny jar right now? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on how to find coins worth serious money, make sure to hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, and join me on this wild ride of numismatic discoveries. Alright, folks, buckle up because today we are talking about a penny worth nearly $2 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A single, humble 1964 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, has been making waves in the coin collecting world, and its value has shot up to a mind-blowing $1.8 million. Now, before you start flipping over your couch cushions looking for pennies, let's dive into why this little copper coin is worth more than a brand new Ferrari. When I was a kid, I used to think pennies were just annoying little things that collected at the bottom of my mom's purse. I'd find them on the sidewalk, pick them up, and feel like I was about to strike it rich, only to realize it was, well, just a penny. Fast forward to today, And here I am, telling you that one of those little nuisance coins could be worth millions. Funny how life works, right? So, what makes this particular 1964 Lincoln penny so special? Let's break it down. No mint mark mystery. If you look at a standard 1964 penny, you might notice a little letter under the date. That's the mint mark, telling you where it was made. A D means Denver, and an S means San Francisco. But if there's no mint mark at all, it was made in Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia pennies are common, but not this one. This specific 1964 penny has a unique error, making it extremely rare. And when something is rare in the coin collecting world, you know what happens? Cha-ching! Error coins are like lottery tickets. Here's where things get spicy. This particular no mint mark 1964 penny was struck on a special planchet, which is a fancy term for the metal blank that becomes a coin. Experts believe it was accidentally struck on a leftover planchet from an earlier year or an experimental mix-up at the mint. That little oopsie turned an ordinary coin into a jackpot. The $1.8 million price tag, why so high? So, how does a penny turn into a fortune? Simple: demand. Coin collectors, especially the big-time investors, are always on the hunt for the rarest finds. This penny is like the holy grail of Lincoln cents. When it went up for auction, collectors went absolutely nuts, driving the price up to an astonishing $1.8 million. That's right, one penny, nearly $2 million. Imagine trying to pay for your morning coffee with that thing. Sir, I think I overpaid. How to spot one in your own change now? Here's where you want to pay close attention. If you want to know if you've got one of these golden, or should I say copper, tickets in your pocket, follow these steps. Examine the color. Does it look a little different than the others? Check for any strange features, like doubled lettering or an unusual shine. If you think you've got something special, take it to a professional coin grader. Because let's be real, you don't want to accidentally spend it on a pack of gum. The importance of checking your pocket change. This isn't just about one rare penny, folks. There are all kinds of valuable coins floating around in everyday change. I once found a silver quarter in my laundry pile. Imagine my surprise when I learned it was worth over $100. That's why I always tell people, check your change. You never know when $1 million penny might be staring back at you. Point 1. Never underestimate the power of a penny. 2. Check your change because hidden treasures could be lurking in your pocket. And 3. If you do find one of these rare 1964 Lincoln pennies, don't just throw it in a jar. Get it checked out. And hey, if you love learning about coins that could make you rich, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more insider tips, coin collecting strategies, and jaw-dropping stories coming your way. Plus, if you've ever found a rare coin yourself, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. Alright, that's it for today. Now, go dig through your piggy banks, and I'll catch you in the next one. Alright, folks, imagine this. You're digging through your couch cushions, hoping to find some spare change for a vending machine snack, and bam, you pull out a regular OL penny. Or so you think. But what if I told you that penny could be worth nearly $2 million? Yeah, that's right. Today, we're diving into the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so rare and valuable that it has collectors losing their minds. Now, before you go running to check your piggy bank, let's talk about what makes this penny so special, how you can spot one, and why it's worth a staggering $1.9 million. And, of course, I'll share a little story about my own experience with a surprising coin find. So stick around. You might just be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Alright, first things first. What's the deal with the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny? Normally, coins from 1968 have a mint mark indicating where they were produced. D for Denver, S for San Francisco. But here's the kicker. Some 1968 pennies were struck without a mint mark. And when something like this happens, collectors go wild. Why? Because this wasn't supposed to happen. Every penny from 1968 should have a mint mark, and yet, some slip through the cracks. That makes them extremely rare. And when something is rare in the coin world, it's worth big bucks. How does a mistake like this even happen? Well, back in the day, mint workers were under pressure to produce millions of coins, and occasionally, human error crept in. Sometimes, dies that were meant to have a mint mark didn't get stamped properly. And just like that, A multimillion-dollar error was born. So, what should you look for? Well, the easiest way to check is to grab a magnifying glass and inspect any 1968 penny you find. If there's no little letter under the date, you might be holding something incredible. But be careful. Some folks try to file off mint marks to create fakes. If you think you've got the real deal, take it to a professional coin dealer or grading service to confirm. Now, let's talk about value. A genuine 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in pristine condition recently sold for, get this, $1.9 million at auction. That's more money than most people make in a lifetime. For a penny. Of course, the condition plays a huge role. The better the quality, the higher the value. A beat-up version might still fetch a decent sum, but if you've got one in near-perfect condition, you're in for a payday of a lifetime. Speaking of unexpected paydays, let me tell you about a time I found a rare coin in the most ridiculous place. A few years ago, I was at a laundromat, and I needed quarters for the machine. So I swapped a dollar bill for some change and, out of pure habit, started checking the coins. That's when I spotted an old wheat penny. Turns out it was a 1943 steel penny, worth a few $100. Now, I didn't strike it rich that day, but it taught me one thing. Always check your change, because you never know when you'll stumble upon a small fortune. So, what's the moral of the story? Never underestimate the power of pocket change. That 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny could be hiding in your drawers, in a jar of old coins, or even in your grandpa's coin collection. And if you find one, you might just be looking at a life-changing amount of money. If you love learning about hidden treasures like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos every week on coins worth money, collecting strategies, and how to spot valuable rarities before anyone else. Don't miss out, because the next big find could be sitting right in your hands. Alright, coin hunters, buckle up because today we're talking about a 2017 Lincoln penny that could be worth up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny worth $1 million. If that doesn't make you want to go digging through your couch cushions, I don't know what will now. I know what you're thinking. Come on, a modern penny? From 2017? No way. But I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll be sprinting to your penny jar like it's the last slice of pizza at a family gathering. So stick with me as we uncover the details, the rarity, and how you can find one of these golden, well, coppery, tickets. First, let's break down why the 2017 Lincoln penny is so special. Back in 2017, the Denver Mint was cranking out pennies like they were going out of style. Millions and millions of them. But, as with all things in coin collecting, mistakes happen. And when mistakes happen, collectors get excited. Now, the one we're looking for isn't just any 2017 penny. It's a rare error coin. Some of these pennies were struck on the wrong planchet. Others have insane doubling or misalignment errors that make them one-of-a-kind treasures. And that, my friends, is what collectors are willing to throw down big money for. Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was sifting through my loose change. You know, the little pile of coins that magically accumulates in your car cup holder. When I found a 2017 penny that looked weird. The lettering was a little off. The rim was a little thicker on one side. And I thought, could it be? So, I grabbed my trusty magnifying glass, which, by the way, makes me feel like Sherlock Holmes every time I use it, and boom, it was a minor misprint. Now, mine wasn't worth $1 million, but it did sell for over $100, which, let's be honest, is still a pretty sweet deal for a penny. So how do you find one of these $1 million beauties? Lincoln penny with a major error, wrong metal, extreme doubling, or significant misalignment, preferably one that hasn't been through the washing machine 3 times. If you think you've found one, get it checked out. There are collectors and dealers out there who would pay big bucks for it. Imagine turning a penny into life-changing money. Now that's an investment strategy one can get behind. So, the moral of the story? Never underestimate your pocket change. That 2017 Lincoln penny in your hand might just be the golden ticket you didn't know you had. And if you've learned anything today, it's that coin collecting is like a treasure hunt. You never know what you'll find until you start looking. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth money and collecting strategies, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big coin discovery. And hey, Drop a comment below. What's the best coin find you've ever had? I'd love to hear your stories. What if I told you that a regular-looking 2011 D. Lincoln penny could be worth over $1 million? That's right, 1 cent, a single copper-plated zinc coin, could turn you into a millionaire. Sounds crazy, right? Well, stick around because today, we're diving into the shocking story of the 2011 D. Lincoln penny that sold for a whopping $1.1 million. We'll talk about how it happened, what to look for, and how you could be holding a fortune in your pocket change. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Now, let's get into it. The 2011 D. Lincoln penny isn't just your average penny. Most people toss these into their couch cushions without a second thought. But one lucky collector discovered something special. So, what makes this particular penny worth more than a mansion? It all comes down to a rare minting error. The coin in question had a double die obverse, meaning Lincoln's face had a slight doubling effect that was clearly visible under magnification. But that's not all. It also had a dramatic off-center strike and a completely missing mint mark, an error so rare that collectors went wild when it hit the market. The combination of these errors made it a one-of-a-kind piece. A well-known coin dealer got their hands on it, and after some expert verification, the coin went up for auction. Bidding was fierce, and in the end, it sold for $1.1 million. That's enough to buy a sports car, a luxury vacation, and still have change left over for, well, more pennies. Now, I have to tell you, I've been searching through my pocket change ever since I heard this story. One time, I was at a gas station and got a handful of pennies in change. I noticed one looked a little funny, slightly off-center, and the date looked doubled. My heart started racing. Was this my million-dollar moment? I rushed home, grabbed my magnifying glass, and inspected it under the best light I could find. Turns out, it was just a smudged print from too many trips through vending machines. But hey, the excitement was real. That's the beauty of coin collecting. Every coin tells a story, and you never know when you'll find that one piece that changes your life. Alright, so how can you tell if your 2011 D penny is a hidden jackpot? Here are the key things to look for. Check Lincoln's face, the lettering, and the date for any noticeable doubling. If the design is shifted, that's a good sign. This is a huge indicator of an ultra-rare error. Mint condition fetch the highest prices. If you think you have a special penny, take it to a professional coin grader. A small investment in grading could mean the difference between a cool story and $1 million payday. So, next time you get some change, don't just toss it in a jar. Take a moment to look at your pennies. That 1 cent coin could be worth more than you ever imagined. Who knows? The next millionaire collector could be you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more crazy coin stories and money-making tips. And hey, drop a comment below. What's the most valuable coin you've ever found? Alright, folks, listen up. Imagine checking your pocket change and realizing you're holding a penny worth $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny. No, I'm not messing with you. There's a 2002 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny out there that could make you a millionaire. And the craziest part? You might already have one sitting in your coin jar, your couch cushions, or even in your car's cup holder. Today, we're diving deep into this legendary penny, why it's so rare, how to spot one, and what you should do if you find it. So grab your magnifying glass, dump out that change jar, and let's go treasure hunting. Now, before you start turning over every penny in sight, let's talk about what makes this coin special. The 2002 penny was supposed to have either a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia mint mark, but somehow, a small number of them were struck with no mint mark at all. This wasn't a mistake you'd notice right away, which is why so many slipped into circulation unnoticed. The reason these pennies are worth so much is because they were struck on an experimental planchet, basically, a test batch of coins made with a different metal composition. Instead of the usual copper-plated zinc, these pennies were struck using a unique alloy that makes them distinct from the rest. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar, well, top million, for one of these rare beauties. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a flea market rummaging through a box of old coins when I came across a 2002 penny that looked different. No mint mark. I got excited. My heart started racing, and I thought, oh man, I've hit the jackpot. I rushed home, did some research, and even took it to a coin dealer. The verdict? Just a regular OL penny. Talk about heartbreak. But hey, that's the thrill of the hunt, right? So, how do you know if you've got the real deal? A slightly different color and texture compared to normal pennies, a weight of about 3.11 grams, compared to the standard 2.5 grams, a distinct sound when dropped compared to a regular penny. If you think you've got one, do not. I repeat, do not. Just spend it or toss it back into circulation. Get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service. And if you're feeling generous, maybe call me up and let me hold it for a second. Just for research purposes, of course. All right, my fellow treasure hunters, that's the scoop on the 2002 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that's making collectors go wild. This is why it pays, literally, to check your change. You never know when a simple penny could turn into $1 million payday. Are you about to dump out your coin jar and start hunting? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more insider tips on rare coins, crazy coin collecting strategies, and stories that'll keep you entertained, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Who knows? Your next trip to the gas station might just make you a millionaire. All right, folks, today we are talking about a little copper coin that could change your life. Imagine you're digging through some pocket change, maybe looking for a quarter for the vending machine, and boom, you spot a 1973 D. Lincoln penny. But wait, this isn't just any old penny. This little guy could be worth $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.3 million for a single penny. Let's break down why and how you can find one of these hidden treasures hiding in your couch cushions. So, picture this. A few years back, I was at a flea market, casually flipping through a jar of old pennies at some guy's booth. You know, the kind of booth that smells like antique wood and lost dreams. Anyway, I found a 1973 D penny, and for a split second, my heart skipped a beat. Could this be the one? Could I finally be on my way to early retirement and beachfront property? Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But that's the thrill of the hunt, my friends. And today, I'm going to give you all the details so you don't miss out if you do come across the real deal. Let's start with the basics. The 1973 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, which is what the D mint mark stands for. Most of these pennies are just regular old cents, worth, well, 1 cent. But there's a rare error variety out there that turns this tiny copper coin into a millionaire's dream. Here's what makes this penny so special. In 1973, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different metal compositions. Somewhere along the way, a few Lincoln pennies were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from the dime production process. That means instead of being the usual copper color, these rare errors have a silverish tint. If you find one, don't toss it in a Coinstar machine. Get it checked out immediately. Now, let's talk money. A confirmed 1973 D. Lincoln penny struck on a silver planchet sold at auction for, wait for it, $1.3 million. Why? Because it's a freak of nature in the coin world. It wasn't supposed to happen, and serious collectors go wild for mint errors like this. They're rare, they're fascinating, and they're valuable. So, how do you check if your 1973 D penny is the jackpot winner? First, do the magnet test. A real 1973 D penny is made of copper, so if your coin sticks to a magnet, you're out of luck. But if it doesn't, move on to step 2. Check the weight. A normal 1973 D penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while the silver-struck error variety will be closer to 2.5 grams, just like a dime. If your penny passes both tests, congratulations. You may be holding on to a life-changing fortune. Now, let's be real. Finding one of these in circulation is about as rare as finding a unicorn in your backyard. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't look. Coins worth serious money turn up in the wild all the time. And let's be honest, checking your change is a lot more fun when there's $1 million payday on the line. Before we wrap up, let's talk strategy. If you want to increase your chances of finding rare coins, here are a few tips. First, get yourself some coin rolls from the bank. Most people don't check their pennies before cashing them in, so you could stumble upon something special. Second, visit estate sales and flea markets. Old collections sometimes get sold off without anyone realizing their true value. And third, always carry a magnifying glass and a small scale. You never know when you'll need to verify a potential jackpot coin on the spot. All right, My fellow treasure hunters, that's it for today's deep dive into the 1973 D. Lincoln penny that could make you a millionaire. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Who knows? The next time you check your change, you might just be holding $1,000,000 in the palm of your hand. You're digging through your couch cushions, searching for a lost remote, and instead, you find a penny. But not just any penny. A little 1962 D. Lincoln cent that, if it's the right one, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. That's right, folks. Today, we're diving deep into the mystery, the history, and the pure dollar signs behind the 1962 D. Lincoln penny that has collectors going absolutely nuts. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just start checking your pocket change with a magnifying glass. Let's get to it, BODY now. Before we go full detective mode on this penny, let's set the scene. It's 1962. John F. Kennedy is president, the first Walmart just opened, and the Beatles are about to take over the world. Meanwhile, in the Denver Mint, millions of Lincoln pennies are rolling off the presses. But hidden among them, one special, one-of-a-kind mistake that turns out to be worth a fortune. So, what makes this penny so special? Well, like many valuable coins, it comes down to a minting error. But this isn't just any old misprint. This is a legendary mistake. The 1962 D. Lincoln penny we're talking about has a unique doubling effect, an off-center strike, or in some cases, an over-mint mark error. This means the D mint mark was either doubled or placed over another letter. Combine that with pristine condition and rarity, and boom, you've got yourself $1,000,000 penny. Okay, but how do I know if I have the golden ticket? First, grab yourself a good magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Check the date, 1962 with the little d under it. Look closely for any doubling on the numbers or letters, especially Liberty or In God We Trust. If you notice any weird doubling, off-center striking, or a strange-looking mint mark, congratulations! You might be sitting on a retirement fund in the form of a penny. Now, I have to tell you a little story. A couple of years ago, I was at a garage sale. You know, the kind where you're hoping to find something cool, but mostly, you just see old VHS tapes and mismatched socks. Well, I found a dusty old jar of pennies. The lady running the sale told me her grandpa had been saving them for decades. I bought the whole jar for $5. Guess what? Hidden in that jar was a 1962 D penny that looked a little off. I thought, no way. Could this be one of those pennies? Long story short, I sent it off for grading, and while it wasn't the $1,000,000 penny, it still sold for a couple $1,000. Not too bad for a $5 investment, right? The moral of the story? Check every coin. You never know what's lurking in that pile of loose change. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The $1.4 million valuation. Why is this specific penny worth so much? Well, it comes down to collector demand, condition, and rarity. There are only a handful of known examples with the right errors, and collectors are willing to pay a fortune for them. It's the same reason people pay millions for rare baseball cards or classic cars. It's about history, nostalgia, and of course, bragging rights. If you're lucky enough to have one in pristine condition, meaning no scratches, no wear, just pure, uncirculated beauty, you're looking at a life-changing payday. Now, let's say you think you've found a winner. What's the next step? First, don't clean it. Seriously, I know it's tempting, but cleaning a valuable coin can actually decrease its worth. Next, get it authenticated and graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. They'll evaluate it and give it an official rating, which determines its true market value. If you hit the jackpot, you can auction it off through a reputable coin dealer or a major auction house like Heritage Auctions. All right, folks, that's the incredible story of the 1962 D. Lincoln penny that could turn your spare change into serious cash. If you've got a coin jar sitting around, it's time to start hunting. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the next lucky collector to find $1,000,000 mistake. And hey, if you love learning about hidden gems in your pocket change and want more tips on coins worth real money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the next big coin collecting secret. Drop a comment below. Have you ever found a rare coin? Let's swap stories. Hey folks, let me ask you something. Have you ever checked the pennies rattling around in your pocket and thought, eh, just another penny? Well, what if I told you one of those little copper coins could be worth a whopping $1.5 million? That's right. Today we're talking about the elusive, rare, and downright jaw-dropping 1992 D-Close AM Lincoln penny. You might want to grab a magnifying glass and start digging through that change jar because this one is life-changing. I know, I know. Who actually looks at their pennies that closely? I used to be the same way. In fact, I had a jar of coins sitting in my kitchen for years before I even considered checking for anything special. One day, I decided to go through it while binge-watching my favorite show. Lo and behold, I found a wheat penny from the 1940s, which got me hooked on coin collecting. And let me tell you, when I found out that a 1992 D penny could be worth more than a brand new Lamborghini, I nearly spilled my coffee all over my collection. Alright, so what makes this 1992 D penny so special? It all comes down to one tiny detail: how the letters A and M appear in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. Most 1992 pennies have a wide spacing between the A and the M, but the rare, valuable ones have something called a close AM design, where the letters are almost touching. This wasn't supposed to happen on Denver minted pennies that year, but thanks to a minting mix-up, a few of these slipped into circulation. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how many are out there? Well, experts estimate that only a handful of these pennies exist, fewer than 20 known so far. That's why they command such insane prices when they show up at auction. One of these pennies sold for over $25,000 years ago, and as more collectors scramble to find one, the value has skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping $1.50 million. Imagine finding one of these pennies in your couch cushions. That's a whole new definition of a lucky penny, right? Makes you wonder how many people have unknowingly spent one of these at a gas station or tossed one into a tip jar. So, how do you know if you've got one of these golden, well, copper tickets? Grab a magnifying glass and take a close look at the word America on the back of your 1992 D penny. If the A and M are touching, congratulations. You might just be holding a fortune in your hands. But before you go quitting your job and planning your dream vacation, make sure to get it authenticated by a professional grading service. Condition matters. The better shape your penny is in, the higher the value. A worn-out one might still be worth a lot, but if it's in pristine condition, well, you might just be looking at a new house, a sports car, and a lifetime supply of tacos. Alright, folks, now's the time to start checking your pockets, car seats, and that old coin jar you've been ignoring for years. You never know. You could be sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it. And if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I share tips, tricks, and crazy coin stories that could help you cash in big. Plus, who doesn't love a good treasure hunt? Thanks for watching, and remember, next time you get a penny in your change, don't just toss it aside. It might just be worth $1,000,000. See you in the next video. Alright, folks, buckle up because today we're talking about a tiny piece of copper that could turn you into a millionaire overnight. Yes, you heard me right. Imagine checking your pocket change and finding a humble 2016 Lincoln penny. Nothing special, right? Wrong. Because if it's the elusive no mint mark variety, you could be looking at a whopping $2.4 million payday. That's more than some houses. So, before you dump that change jar at the coin machine, you might want to stick around because this penny could be your golden, or rather, copper ticket to financial freedom. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a gas station, buying my usual cup of coffee, black, no sugar, because I like my caffeine strong enough to wake the neighbors. I got my change back, glanced at the coins like I always do, and bam! A 2016 penny caught my eye. I wish I could say it was the no mint mark penny, but nope, just a regular old cent. But that one moment sparked my obsession with checking every single penny I get. And let me tell you, folks, once you get into the habit of coin hunting, there's no going back. So, what makes this 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny so special? Let's break it down. First, what does no mint mark mean? Normally, coins have a tiny letter indicating where they were minted. P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. But in some rare cases, a mistake happens, and the coin is minted without that little letter. That's exactly what happened with this 2016 penny. This particular error is incredibly rare, making it extremely valuable to collectors. Think of it like a misprinted baseball card or a rare comic book, except way more valuable. So, how do you know if you have one? Simple. Grab your magnifying glass. Yes, we're going full detective mode, and check just below the date. If there's no tiny mint mark, you just might have struck copper gold. Now, let's talk about value. As of now, the highest confirmed auction sale for a 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny stands at $2.4 million. That's not pocket change, folks. Why so much? Because coin collectors go absolutely nuts for rare errors, and when demand is high but supply is low, prices skyrocket. It's basic economics, and also the reason why my local diner started charging an arm and a leg for pancakes. There might be more of these pennies floating around out there. Most people don't check their change, which means one could be hiding in your couch, your car's cup holder, or even that old piggy bank you haven't touched since the 90s. So, if you're not checking your pennies yet, what are you waiting for? Alright, folks, we've covered a lot today. We've learned that a simple penny could make you a millionaire, that tiny mint marks, or the lack thereof, can mean big bucks, and that my coffee addiction is very real. But before you go digging through your couch cushions, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'll be bringing you more insider tips on coins worth money and the best strategies to spot valuable treasures hiding in plain sight. And hey, if you do find that rare penny, don't forget who told you about it. I accept thank you notes in the form of coffee gift cards and a small cut of your $2.4 million. Just kidding. Or am I? Alright, folks, gather around because today we're diving into a coin story so wild it might just make you want to dig through your couch cushions right now. Imagine this. You're casually sorting through your loose change, maybe looking for vending machine money, and bam, you find a penny. But not just any penny. A 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent, and guess what? It's worth a cool $1 million. That's right, 1 million. A penny that could buy you a mansion, a sports car, or at the very least, a lifetime supply of tacos. Stick with me because I'm about to break down everything you need to know about this legendary coin, from what makes it special to how you can spot one hiding in your pocket change. And trust me, you won't want to miss this. First things first, let's talk about what makes this 1988 no-mint Mark penny so insanely valuable. Now, most pennies from 1988 have a little letter under the date, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But some rare ones were mistakenly struck without any mint mark. That little missing detail? Yeah, it turns an ordinary 1-cent coin into a collector's holy grail. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just some fluke. This happened because the US Mint was in the middle of transitioning engraving designs between 1988 and 1989. Some 1988 pennies ended up with the reverse design intended for 1989 coins, and a few of them got out into circulation without a mint mark. This tiny mistake turned into a massive payday for lucky collectors. So, how do you know if you've got one of these bad boys? Well, grab a magnifying glass because you're gonna need it. First, check the mint mark, or lack thereof. If you see nothing under the date, you might be onto something. Next, flip it over and look at the letters in United States of America on the back. If they appear slightly different or sharper than a typical 1988 penny, you could have the $1 million jackpot in your hands. Now, let me hit you with a personal story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, browsing some old coin collections. I spotted a guy selling random bags of pennies for a couple of bucks each. Just for fun, I grabbed a handful and took them home. Later that night, I started sorting through them, and I swear, my heart almost stopped. I found a 1988 penny with no mint mark. I was sweating bullets, thinking I had just hit the jackpot. But after closer inspection, it turned out to be a regular 1988 cent. My dreams of early retirement? Crushed. But hey, the experience made me a lot sharper when it comes to spotting valuable coins, and now I get to share that knowledge with you. Alright, so let's talk numbers. How much is this coin actually worth? Well, here's where things get crazy. One of these 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln cents in pristine condition recently sold for a whopping $1 million at auction. That's right, 6 zeros for a penny. And even if your coin isn't in mint condition, you could still be looking at thousands of dollars. The key is condition, rarity, and demand. Coin collectors go wild over these rarities, and if you have one that grades high with a certified expert, you might be sitting on a gold mine. Or in this case, a copper one. So, what's the takeaway? Check your pennies. That jar of spare change on your dresser? It might just be hiding a small fortune. And if you're out and about, always keep an eye on your pocket change. You never know when you might find one of these rare gems hiding in plain sight. And before you go running to inspect your piggy bank, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'll be dropping more insider tips on coins worth serious cash, collecting strategies, and the biggest coin collecting discoveries. Plus, I've got some wild stories to share that you won't want to miss. So, smash that like button, drop a comment if you've ever found a rare coin, and I'll see you in the next one. Ever had a penny just chilling in your pocket, and you thought, just another 1 cent wonder? Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because today, we're talking about a tiny copper coin that could make you a millionaire. That's right, a 2006 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny recently sold for a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. Now, before you dump out your piggy banks and flip your couch cushions, let's break down what makes this penny so special and why someone just paid a fortune for a coin you might have handed over for a piece of gum. Alright, let's get into it. First things first, what exactly is a no-mint mark penny? Well, usually, pennies are minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. If a coin is from Denver, it has a little D on it. If it's from San Francisco, you'll see an S. But if it's from Philly, no letter. That's totally normal. But here's where things get spicy. This 2006 penny wasn't supposed to exist the way it does. Now, let me tell you a quick story. I used to think I was some kind of coin collecting prodigy as a kid. I'd dig through my change, hoping to find a rare coin, only to realize I was hoarding normal pocket change. Fast forward a few decades, and here I am, telling you how to spot the real treasures. Funny how life works, huh? So what makes this 2006 penny worth over $1 million? It's all about the error. This particular penny was struck on a special planchet, basically, the metal blank that coins are made from. Instead of using the standard copper-coated zinc planchet, the US Mint accidentally used a leftover older composition, likely a pure copper planchet from pre-1982. That's like finding an iPhone 1 in brand new condition. It just shouldn't exist. This penny somehow made it through quality control, got into circulation, and spent years in someone's pocket, purse, or maybe even under a car seat before some lucky person realized what they had. Imagine paying for a coffee with $1 million coin. That would be the most expensive latte in history. Alright, so how do you know if you have one of these gems? Grab your magnifying glass, because here's what to look for. Slightly heavier weight, copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while standard zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams. A slightly different color, pure copper pennies have a richer, darker tone and, of course, getting it verified by a coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. Now, let's talk market value. The reason this penny hit that crazy $1.1 million price tag is simple: rarity, condition, and demand. The coin that sold was in near-perfect condition, and collectors went wild bidding on it. If you find one but it's a little beat up, it might still be worth a few $1,000s. Not too shabby for a penny. But before you go spending hours sifting through your spare change, remember, finding a coin like this is like winning the lottery. Possible? Yes. Likely? Let's just say don't quit your day job. Still, checking your coins is always a good habit. Even if you don't find a $1 million penny, you might come across other valuable errors and varieties that are worth a nice chunk of change. Pennies aren't always worthless. Rare coins can be hiding in plain sight, and yes, you should absolutely start checking your change more closely. Who knows? Your next fast food drive-thru visit could hand you a $1 million mistake. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about hidden treasures in your pocket change, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coin collecting tips and tricks coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin, or let me know what crazy coin stories you've heard. What if I told you that lurking in your spare change, beneath the sofa cushions, or even jingling around in your car's cup holder, could be a penny worth over $1 million? That's right. Today, we're talking about the legendary 1992 D. Lincoln penny, the one with the ultra-rare close AM variety. that has sold for an eye-popping $1.20 million. I know what you're thinking. Who in their right mind would pay over $1 million for a penny? Well, stick with me, and I'll break it all down. How to identify one, why it's so rare, and how you could be the next lucky person to strike coin collecting gold. Oh, and trust me, you won't want to miss my personal story about how I almost, had one of these in my collection but let it slip away. Yep, it still haunts me at night, so let's get into it. The 1992 D. Lincoln penny was just another ordinary coin, or so everyone thought. But then, something strange surfaced. A tiny, nearly imperceptible design difference made some of these pennies incredibly rare and valuable. Normally, on pennies from 1992, the letters A and M in America on the reverse are spaced apart. But in this rare variety, the A and M are so close they're practically hugging. This was actually a mistake. The mint accidentally used the wrong die, the one meant for the 1993 pennies, which had the close AM design. A small number of 1992 D pennies got struck this way, and now, decades later, collectors are paying insane amounts of money to get their hands on one. You know those rare items that still seem to be everywhere? This is not one of them. We're talking about only a handful of these existing. So far, only a few have been found, which makes this penny the coin equivalent of spotting Bigfoot riding a unicorn. Now, here's the exciting part. You could have one of these in your collection or piggy bank right now and not even know it. So, grab a magnifying glass, a cup of coffee, and a steady hand, and let's check those pennies. Check for the D mint mark below the year. Flip the penny over and inspect the word America. If the A and M are so close they're nearly touching, bingo. You just hit the jackpot. All right, it's time for my tragic tale. A few years ago, I was going through a big bag of wheat pennies I picked up from a garage sale. As I was sorting them, I came across a 1992 D penny, but at the time, I didn't know about the close AM variety. I barely glanced at it, tossed it into the regular change pile, and moved on. I read an article about the 1992 D close AM penny and immediately felt a wave of nausea. I tore apart my entire collection, checked every coin in my stash, and nothing. My $1 million penny was gone, probably spent on a vending machine Snickers bar. I don't think I've ever emotionally recovered, so learn from my mistake. Check every single 1992 D penny carefully because that little detail could change your life. Now, here's where it gets exciting. The highest recorded sale for a 1992 D close AM penny? A staggering $1.2 million. And even lower-grade versions of this coin still sell for tens of thousands of dollars. That's a pretty sweet return for a penny most people wouldn't think twice about. If you're lucky enough to find this elusive penny, don't just go spending it on a pack of gum. Get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Once certified, consider auctioning it through a major auction house specializing in rare coins. Cash in and enjoy your newfound wealth. Maybe even buy yourself a whole truckload of pennies to search through for more treasures. All right, folks, that's the wild and thrilling story of the 1992 D close AM Lincoln penny. If this video has you running to check every penny in your house, then my job here is done. But don't stop here. There are tons of other rare coins floating around out there just waiting to be found. So, if you want more coin collecting tips, treasure hunting strategies, and stories of crazy valuable finds, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You never know. Your next trip to the coin jar could be the one that makes you a millionaire. Where we turn pocket change into treasure. Have you ever dug through your couch cushions and thought, hey, maybe there's a hidden fortune in here? Well, what if I told you a 1967 Lincoln penny without a mint mark could be worth a mind-blowing $1.3 million? That's right, a single penny that could buy you a mansion, a sports car, or a lifetime supply of pizza. Stick around because I'm about to tell you exactly why this little copper beauty is so valuable, how to spot one, and how you might just have a jackpot hiding in your piggy bank. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this legendary coin. The 1967 Lincoln penny is special for a few reasons. First off, in 1967, the U.S. Mint decided to shake things up a bit. They didn't include mint marks on any coins that year. That means whether it was made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, every single penny from 1967 looks the same. No little D or S below the date. But here's the kicker. Not all 1967 pennies are created equal. There's one out there with an ultra-rare error that makes it worth over $1 million. You see, coin errors are like typos in an ancient manuscript. They're rare, they're valuable, and they drive collectors absolutely nuts. The $1 million 1967 penny is believed to have been struck on a leftover silver planchet. Yeah, that's right, silver, not copper. Back then, dimes and quarters were transitioning out of silver, and somehow, a silver blank got mixed in with the pennies. The result? A super rare 1967 penny that isn't supposed to exist. You're at the grocery store, you get a handful of change back, and among the boring brown pennies, there's one that looks just a little different. Maybe a bit shinier, a little heavier, or it just feels off. Well, my friend, that could be your $1 million moment. Speaking of surprises, let me tell you about the time I almost threw away a valuable coin. A few years back, I was helping my uncle clean out his garage, and he had this big OL jar of pennies. He was about to cash them in at one of those Coinstar machines. Yeah, the ones that rob you of 11% of your money. But being the coin nerd that I am, I said, hold up, let me take a look first. Lo and behold, I found a 1943 steel penny, worth over $1,000. My uncle nearly fainted. We ended up selling it to a collector, and let's just say, he took me out for the biggest steak dinner of my life. So, before you go tossing your spare change into a machine or using it for scratch-off tickets, take a second to check for hidden treasure. So, how do you know if you have the $1 million 1967 penny? First, grab a magnet. If your 1967 penny sticks, it's steel. No jackpot there. If it doesn't, we're still in the game. Next, weigh it. A normal 1967 penny should weigh 3.11 grams. If yours is significantly lighter or heavier, you might just have a rare error coin. The best way to know for sure? Take it to a coin expert or get it certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Alright, folks, now you know what to look for. Who knew something as small as a penny could be worth a fortune? So, before you dismiss those copper coins jingling in your pocket, give them a second look. You might just be holding history and a serious payday. If you enjoyed this and want more insider tips on finding coins worth money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, tap the bell so you never miss an update, and drop a comment if you've ever found a valuable coin. Imagine finding a penny so rare, so valuable, that it could buy you a mansion, a luxury car, or even a private island. Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about a 1991 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, that recently sold for a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A single penny worth more than a Ferrari. So, if you've got some change rattling around in your couch cushions, it might be time to start checking. Now, before you dump your piggy bank all over the floor, let's talk about what makes this coin so special, how to identify one, and of course, how you can maximize your chances of striking it rich. Oh, and stick around because I've got a wild story about the time I almost threw away a valuable coin. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one, alright. So what's the deal with this 1991 Lincoln penny? It's all about a little thing called a mint error. Most pennies from 1991 were struck with a mint mark, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But this one, no mint mark, nada. And that makes it extremely rare. So, how did this happen? Well, back in 1991, the Philadelphia Mint, where pennies without mint marks are usually made, accidentally struck a batch using a special proof die mint for San Francisco mint coins. This wasn't supposed to happen, and only a handful of these error pennies made it out into circulation. Imagine printing money by accident. Someone definitely had a rough day at the mint that year. Okay, now that we know why it's worth so much, let's talk about how to find one. First things first, grab any 1991 penny you can find and check under the date. If there's a little D or S there, sorry, it's just a regular penny. But if there's no mint mark at all, you just might have hit the jackpot. Now, before you start booking that dream vacation, there are a few things to consider. Condition is everything. A 1991 no mint mark penny in bad shape? Not gonna get you that $1 million payday. But if it's in pristine condition, what collectors call MS 67 or higher, that's when you're looking at life-changing money. Alright, let's talk numbers. The most recent sale of this rare penny went for $1.4 million at auction. But even if yours isn't quite as perfect, you could still make a fortune. Coins in slightly lower grades have been selling for tens of thousands of dollars. Not too shabby for a penny, right? But who's actually paying this kind of money? Serious collectors, high-end investors, and even museums are always on the lookout for rare coins. If you find one, you'll want to get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Trust me, you don't want to be that person who sells it for a few bucks at a yard sale, only to find out later it was worth millions. All right, confession time. Years ago, I was going through my change jar, just casually tossing pennies aside, when I found an old, weird-looking one. Didn't think much of it. I was in a rush, so I chucked it into a tip jar at a coffee shop. A week later, I saw a story about a rare penny selling for thousands of dollars, and it looked just like the one I had tossed. Let me tell you, I considered going back to that coffee shop with a magnet and a lot of hope, but sadly, that coin was long gone. Always, always check your change. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight, so there you have it, folks. The 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, one of the most valuable pennies ever. If you've got one, congratulations. If not, don't worry, because there are plenty of other valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. If you love learning about coins worth big money and the best strategies for collecting, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more coin hunting tips, stories, and jaw-dropping finds coming your way. Also, give this video a like if you're heading straight to your piggy bank after this. Alright, folks, imagine this. You're digging through an old jar of pennies, maybe looking for some spare change for a soda, and bam! You find a coin so valuable it could buy you a mansion, a luxury car, and still leave you enough for a lifetime supply of tacos. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, let me tell you. For one lucky collector, that dream became reality when they found a 1960 Lincoln penny worth a jaw-dropping $1.50 million. Now, before you go dumping your couch cushions on the floor looking for pennies, let's break down what makes this particular coin so insanely valuable, how you can spot one, and what to do if you hit the jackpot. Alright, so what's the deal with the 1960 D penny? First, let's talk about the basics. The D means it was minted in Denver in, you guessed it, 1960. But not all 1960 D pennies are worth a fortune. In fact, most of them are just regular pocket change. But there's something very special about this particular coin. The million-dollar version of the 1960 D penny is an ultra-rare variety known as the 1960 D small date over large date. Yep, you heard that right. This little penny has a case of identity crisis. It was struck with two different date styles, one over the other, creating a bizarre but valuable error. This happened due to a mix-up at the US Mint, and boy, did that mistake pay off for collectors. Grab your magnifying glass, or just use your phone camera with zoom if you're fancy like that, and take a close look at the date. If the numbers seem to have a sort of shadow effect or doubling, you just might have a winner. Specifically, check the 1 and 9. If they look like they've been stamped twice, congratulations, you might be holding a tiny gold mine. Now, let me tell you a quick story about my own experience with coin hunting. A few years back, I was at a flea market digging through an old box of coins. I paid $2 for a handful of pennies, thinking I'd maybe find a wheat cent or two. Lo and behold, I found a 1960 D penny that looked suspiciously odd. My heart started racing. I rushed home, examined it under a proper magnifying glass, and, you guessed it, turns out it was just a really, really worn-out penny. But hey, that's the thrill of the hunt, right? So, what happens if you do find the real deal? First off, don't just run to the nearest pawn shop. You need to get your coin authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These folks will verify its authenticity and assign it a grade, which heavily impacts the value. A well-preserved, high-grade version of this penny is what brought in that whopping $1.5 million auction price. Speaking of auctions, where do you sell a coin like this? You could list it on eBay, but a $1 million coin deserves a bit more finesse. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers specialize in high-value rare coins and can help you get the best price possible. Now, let's talk about why people are willing to drop a small fortune on a penny. The answer? Rarity and demand. Serious collectors love errors, and when you get a mistake like this, one that's both rare and visually striking, it becomes a must-have for those deep-pocketed numismatists. So, to sum it all up, check your change, folks. That little 1960 D penny rattling around in your drawer could be worth more than your car. But remember, finding one isn't easy. These coins are like hidden treasure, and it takes patience, research, and a little bit of luck. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coin collecting strategies, rare finds, and all things numismatic, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. Who knows? The next coin we talk about might be sitting in your pocket right now. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a valuable coin or if you're just starting your collecting journey. Let's get the conversation going. Now, imagine this, you're digging through your spare change, maybe looking for a quarter for the parking meter, and boom, you stumble upon a 2020 D Lincoln penny. No big deal, right? Just another penny. Or is it? Because guess what? There's a rare version of this coin out there that's worth a jaw-dropping $1.60 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny that could buy you a mansion, a Ferrari, or at the very least, a lifetime supply of cheeseburgers. So, in today's video, we're diving deep into this incredible coin, how to spot it, why it's worth so much, and how you can maximize your chances of finding one in your pocket change. Stick around, because this is one penny story you don't want to miss. All right, let's talk about this legendary 2020 D Lincoln penny. First off, the D mint mark means it was minted in Denver. Most 2020 D pennies are, well, just pennies worth exactly 1 cent. But there's a rare variety out there that has collectors going absolutely crazy. Now, here's where things get exciting. The reason this penny is so valuable comes down to an extremely rare minting error. Some of these 2020 D pennies were struck on a leftover 2019 planchet. That's the blank disc the coin is made from. This means the metal composition is slightly different than a regular 2020 penny, making it a one-of-a-kind error coin. And let me tell you, error coins are like celebrities in the coin collecting world. People chase them, pay top dollar for them, and even write love letters to them. Okay, maybe not that last part, or maybe they do, I don't judge. So, how do you know if you have the $1 million version of this coin? Here's what to look for. Check the weight. A normal 2020 D penny weighs about 2.5 grams. The rare error coin weighs slightly more due to the leftover 2019 metal composition. Inspect the rim. If it looks slightly thicker or irregular, that could be a sign you've got a special one. Use a magnifying glass or a coin microscope to check for doubling in the date or lettering. Some of these error pennies also have a slight doubling effect, which just adds to their value. Now, let me tell you about the time I almost had a heart attack over a penny. A few months ago, I was sorting through my pocket change like I always do. Because, let's be real, who doesn't love treasure hunting in their own couch cushions? Anyway, I spotted a 2020 D penny that looked just a little different. My hands started shaking. My brain started calculating how many tacos I could buy with $1.6 million. I grabbed my scale, weighed the penny, and nope, it was just a regular one. My dreams of early retirement were crushed in an instant. But hey, that's what makes coin collecting exciting. You never know when you'll hit the jackpot. So why is this coin fetching $1.6 million? Simple rarity and demand. There are only a handful of these error coins known to exist, and serious collectors are willing to pay big money to own one. The coin market is like the stock market. Prices go up and down, but when something this rare hits the market, it's a feeding frenzy. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, how do I get my hands on one of these? Always check your pocket change. Coins circulate everywhere, and you never know what you might find. You can ask your bank for rolls of pennies and search through them. Check with coin dealers or attend coin shows. Sometimes people don't realize what they have. Trust me, they'll pay for themselves if you ever find a valuable coin. All right, folks, there you have it. The 2020 D Lincoln penny that could make you a millionaire. Now, before you start flipping over every couch cushion and raiding your kid's piggy bank, take a second to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips and tricks on finding coins worth money, and trust me, you don't want to miss out. Who knows? Your next penny find might just be the one that changes your life. All right, folks, imagine this. You're digging through your couch cushions, hoping to find enough spare change for a coffee, and bam, you pull out a penny. Not just any penny, but a 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. And guess what? That tiny piece of copper could be worth a whopping $1.6 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A million. For a penny. Today, we're diving into the story behind this legendary coin, why it's worth so much, and how you might just have one sitting in a jar somewhere. So stick around because you do not want to miss this. So, what's the deal with this 1967 penny? Well, let's break it down. First off, you might be wondering, why doesn't it have a mint mark? Here's the thing. Back in the 60s, the US Mint had a bit of a crisis. People were hoarding coins like they were going out of style. Literally. So, in 1965, the Mint decided to stop using mint marks for a few years to try and curb the madness. That's why if you look at a penny from 1965 to 1967, you won't find a little D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. Now, normally, these pennies aren't super rare. Millions were made, and most of them are only worth, well, a penny. But here's where things get juicy. There's a special version of this penny, an ultra-rare error coin, that has collectors ready to drop serious cash. This particular coin is believed to have been struck using a special die, creating a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly. It could be an off-metal strike, a double die error, or even a mysterious planchet mistake that makes it stand out from the rest. And that's why it's valued at a jaw-dropping $1.60 million. Now, let me tell you about a little experience I had with pennies. A while back, I was at a flea market doing my usual treasure hunting. Because, let's be honest, you never know what you'll find. I spot this old jar of pennies for $5. Something about it screamed, "Take me home." So, I did. I get back, start sifting through them, and boom. My heart skips a beat. A 1967 no-mint mark penny. For a split second, I thought I hit the jackpot. I even started planning what I'd do with my million-dollar fortune. Then, reality hit. Turns out, it was just a regular 1967 penny, worth about, well, a penny. But hey, it just goes to show you never know what you'll find until you look. So, how do you know if you've got the 1967 penny? Here's what you need to do. First, check for any unusual features. Look for doubling in the letters or numbers, any strange color variations, or a weight difference. If you're still unsure, get yourself a jeweler's scale and a magnifying glass. If something seems off, you might just have a rare one on your hands. And if you think you've struck gold, take it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll verify it and give you an official grade, which can make all the difference when it comes to value. Now, if you're wondering, where can I even sell a coin like this? Well, my friend, the coin collecting community is alive and thriving. You can try auction houses, online marketplaces, or even coin shows. But a word of advice, don't just sell to the first person who offers you cash. Do your research, get multiple appraisals, and make sure you're getting the best deal possible. Alright, so let's recap. The 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny might look like just another coin. But if you've got the right one, you could be sitting on a fortune. Whether you find it in a coin roll, an old piggy bank, or, who knows, a jar at a flea market, always check your change. And hey, even if you don't find the million-dollar penny, there are plenty of valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. Now, before you run off to raid your spare change jar, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because I've got plenty more coin collecting secrets to share. If you love learning about rare coins and how to find them, this is the place for you. Drop a comment below if you've ever come across a rare coin, and let's keep this treasure hunt going. You're digging through your pocket change, mindlessly sorting through pennies, when suddenly, boom, you spot something odd. An ordinary 1980 Lincoln penny. But wait, there's no mint mark. Hold up. Could this tiny copper coin really be worth $1.70 million? Yes, you heard that right. We're talking life-changing money for something most people ignore or toss in a jar. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this penny is so valuable, how to spot one, and who knows? Maybe you've got a fortune hiding in your couch cushions, and trust me, you don't want to miss my own embarrassing story of the time I almost had a rare coin and completely blew it. So, what's the deal with the 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny? Normally, Pennies minted in Philadelphia in 1980 should have a small P mint mark, or at least, that's what people assume. But here's the twist. Pennies from Philly in 1980 weren't actually supposed to have a mint mark at all. So, you might be wondering what makes this one so special. Great question. This rare error penny is one of a kind because it was mistakenly struck using a proof die. A proof die is a special die used for high-quality collector's coins, not for everyday circulation. Someone at the US Mint must have been asleep at the wheel, or maybe they just wanted to make a future millionaire. Either way, this mistake created an incredibly rare penny, and collectors are absolutely losing their minds over it in auction. One of these bad boys sold for a jaw-dropping $1.70 million. That's enough to buy a mansion, a sports car, and still have money left over for a lifetime supply of tacos. First, check the date. 1980 is what you're hunting for. Second, an O mint mark. If you see a D or an S, sorry, but that's a regular penny worth, well, 1 cent. Third, condition matters. If it's all scratched up, it won't fetch as much, but if it's shiny and crisp, jackpot. Now, I promised you a personal story, so here it is. A few years back, I was going through an old coin jar my grandpa left behind. I wasn't even into coin collecting at the time, but something told me to check. And guess what? I found a 1980 penny with no mint mark. I got so excited, I called up a dealer and everything. But here's where I messed up. I cleaned it with toothpaste to make it look shinier. Big mistake. Turns out, cleaning a rare coin like that is like throwing a Picasso in the washing machine. I ruined its value completely. Instead of cashing in for thousands, I basically turned it into a regular penny again. Ouch. Learn from my mistake. Folks, if you find a rare penny, do not clean it. Just store it properly and get it checked by a professional. Oh, there you have it. The 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny could be your ticket to an early retirement, or at least a really fancy vacation. Check your pockets, your piggy banks, and that weird junk drawer in your kitchen. Who knows? You might be sitting on $1 million coin and not even realize it. And hey, if you found this video helpful, or if you just love hearing me rant about pennies, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more coin hunting tips, hidden treasure stories, and money-making strategies coming your way. Don't miss out. Now go forth, check your change, and may the coin gods be ever in your favor. All right, folks, gather round because today, we're talking about a tiny little coin that might just be worth more than your house. Imagine finding a penny, yep, 1 measly cent, that turns out to be worth $1.8 million. That's right. We're diving into the mysterious, mind-blowing world of the 1964 D. Lincoln penny. So grab your coin jars, and let's find out if you're secretly sitting on a fortune. Now, before you start flipping over every couch cushion in your house, let's break this down. Why is the 1964 D penny so valuable? What makes this little copper beauty worth a staggering $1.8 million bucks? It all comes down to rarity, minting errors, and of course, collector demand. And trust me, coin collectors, they're some of the most passionate folks on the planet. Some of them would trade their firstborn for the right coin. I'm only slightly exaggerating. It's 1964. Gas is 30 cents a gallon. The Beatles are taking over the world. And at the Denver Mint, millions of pennies are rolling off the presses. But somewhere in that mix, a few special pennies came out different. These weren't just any pennies. Some of them had unique minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, or even the ultra-rare wrong planchet error. Now, the real kicker? There's a specific 1964 D. Lincoln penny that has collectors throwing cash around like it's monopoly money. This particular coin, due to its pristine condition, rare error, and sheer scarcity, recently fetched an eye-watering $1.8 million at auction. Imagine the look on the seller's face when they found out they had a literal golden, or should I say copper, ticket. Now, I know what you're thinking, but how do I know if I have one of these babies? Well, first, take out your 1964 D pennies and look closely. Grab a magnifying glass if you have to. Check for double die errors, off-center strikes, or that mysterious wrong planchet. Condition matters too. If it looks like it went through a blender, it's probably not making anyone a millionaire. Now, let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was going through a jar of old coins my grandpa left me. I thought, hey, maybe I'll find a rare one. I spent hours examining pennies, nickels, dimes, you name it. Found some cool old coins, sure, but no $1 million jackpot. However, the process got me hooked on coin collecting. And guess what? A year later, I did find a rare penny worth a few $100. Moral of the story? You might not strike gold immediately, but patience pays off. And hey, you never know when you'll hit the jackpot. So, what's the lesson here? Check your pennies, folks. That spare change in your pocket could be worth a life-changing amount of money. And if you love learning about hidden treasures, rare coins, and all the ways you can turn pocket change into serious cash, then you need to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Like, share, and drop a comment below if you think you've got a rare penny story to tell. Who knows? Your next coin could be worth a fortune. All right, folks, buckle up because today we're diving into one of the craziest coin stories out there, the 2014 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A 2014 penny? Aren't those practically pocket change? Well, my friend, this bad boy is worth a jaw-dropping $1.9 million. Yep, you heard that right, one single cent, almost 2 million bucks. Makes you want to check your couch cushions, doesn't it? Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, casually flipping through a bin of junk coins. You know, the ones people toss in without a second thought. An older gentleman next to me, let's call him Mr. Lucky, pulled out a penny, looked at it for a second, and said, "Well, would you look at that?" Turns out, he had just stumbled upon a rare error penny worth thousands. Meanwhile, I walked away with a handful of beat-up nickels and a bruised ego. Moral of the story? Sometimes, fortune really does favor the observant. Why does it have no mint mark? The U.S. Mint usually stamps a little letter on coins to indicate where they were produced. Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. But this particular penny? Nada. Zip. Zilch. It's like the mint worker just said, "Yeah, let's skip that part today." This minting error makes it incredibly rare, and as we collectors know, rarity equals value. But it gets even better. This isn't just a no-mint mark situation. Some versions of this penny also have doubling errors, meaning the lettering and Lincoln's portrait might have a slight, almost ghostly duplicate. That's the kind of thing coin collectors dream about. Now, let's talk about its value. How does a simple penny go from being worth 1 cent to nearly $2 million? The answer is a mix of rarity, condition, and demand. The highest graded specimens, those in pristine, untouched condition, fetch the most money. And with this particular coin, demand is through the roof. Collectors are practically battling in gladiator-style auctions for a chance to own one. Think about it. If you found one of these, you could buy a mansion, a sports car, or, heck, even a lifetime supply of peanut butter, if that's your thing. All right, so what have we learned today? First, always check your change. You never know when $1 million coin might be hiding in your pocket. Second, rare coin errors are like hidden treasure, waiting for the right person to spot them. And third, if you ever see me at a flea market, watch out, because now I'm double-checking every single penny I come across. If you love learning about valuable coins and the best strategies for finding them, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, share this with your fellow treasure hunters, and drop a comment below. What's the most valuable coin you've ever found? All right, my fellow coin hunters, listen up. Imagine reaching into your pocket for some spare change, only to realize that you've been carrying around a $2 million penny. That's right, a 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth a life-changing fortune. Sounds crazy? Well, buckle up because today we're diving deep into how a humble little penny, one that most people wouldn't even glance at, could secretly be the jackpot you've been searching for. Stick around because I'm going to break down exactly what makes this coin so valuable, how you can spot one, and of course, what you should do if you're lucky enough to find one. Plus, I'll share a personal story about the time I almost spent a valuable coin on a gas station hot dog. Yeah, it still haunts me. All right, let's talk about what makes this penny so special. The 1971 Lincoln penny is common. Millions were made. But what we're looking for is the rare no-mint mark variety with a special error. This little guy wasn't supposed to exist in the way that it does, and that's why it's worth a fortune today. So, what happened? Well, back in 1971, most pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which typically didn't place a mint mark on its coins. But there's a twist. Some of these pennies were struck with a double die obverse error, meaning the design was stamped onto the coin twice, creating a noticeable doubling effect on letters like Liberty and In God We Trust. Now, before you run off and start digging through your couch cushions, let's talk about how to spot the money-making details. Look closely at the lettering. If the words appear blurry or doubled, congratulations, you might be onto something big. Another key sign? The date itself might look slightly thicker or shadowed. And here's where it gets really interesting. Back in 2023, one of these rare 1971 no-mint mark double die pennies was auctioned off for a jaw-dropping $2 million. That's not just gas money, that's mansion money. Imagine the face of the person who cashed in on that one. Now, let me tell you a quick personal story about why checking your change is so important. Years ago, I was at a gas station, starving, and I grabbed one of those suspicious-looking hot dogs. You know, the ones that have probably been rolling on the heater since the Clinton administration? Well, I reached into my pocket and pulled out some change to pay. The cashier picked up one penny, looked at it, and said, "Hey, this one looks weird." I was in such a hurry, I just shrugged it off and let him take it. A week later, I found out that the exact kind of penny he was pointing out, a double die variety, had just sold at auction for thousands. Thousands. That's the day I learned a valuable lesson. Always, always check your change before handing it over for a questionable snack. So, what should you do if you think you've got one of these rare pennies? First, grab a magnifying glass or even use your phone's camera to zoom in. If you see doubling on the letters and date, don't spend it. Instead, take it to a professional coin grader or an auction house to get it authenticated. And if it's legit, well, congratulations, you just hit the jackpot. All right, folks, that's the story of the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that could turn your pocket change into life-changing money. This just goes to show that sometimes treasure isn't buried in the ground. It's hiding in plain sight, right in your spare change. So, before you absent-mindedly spend that penny, take a second to check. Because who knows? You might be holding on to $2 million without even realizing it. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on spotting rare coins worth serious cash, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like and comment. Tell me, what's the most valuable coin you've ever found? Let's keep the treasure hunting spirit alive. Imagine digging through your pocket change and stumbling upon a single penny. Just a plain OL copper coin. But wait, what if I told you that one of those little guys, a 1977 Lincoln penny, could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.1 million? Yeah, that's not a typo. $2.1 million for a single penny. So, before you go tossing your spare change into a vending machine for a stale bag of chips, you might want to stick around. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the legendary 1977 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. What makes it so special? How to tell if you have one? And of course, the big question. Could you be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it? All right, let's set the scene. It's 1977. The Bee Gees are ruling the charts, Star Wars just hit theaters, and somewhere in the hustle and bustle of everyday transactions, a rare error penny makes its way into circulation. Unlike its siblings from the Denver and San Francisco mints, this one is missing its mint mark entirely. Now, normally, a missing mint mark isn't always a big deal. But this one? Oh, it's a whole different story. So why is this coin so valuable? Great question. Here's the deal. In 1977, most pennies were struck with either a little D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. However, due to a minting mishap, a very small number of these pennies left the factory without a mint mark. This wasn't just a one-off mistake. It was a full-on, top-tier collector's mystery. Some experts believe it was due to a die mix-up at the Philadelphia Mint, while others think it could have been an intentional test strike that somehow slipped through quality control. Either way, this little anomaly turned an ordinary penny into a $1 million jackpot. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering, okay, how do I know if I've got one? Simple. Grab your magnifying glass. Don't have one? No problem, just squint really hard and check under the date. If there's no little letter sitting below the 1977, you might have something special. But don't go quitting your job just yet. Condition matters a lot. The penny that fetched $2.1 million at auction was in near-perfect condition, graded MS 67, which is fancy coin collector talk for so shiny you can see your future in it. Speaking of future, quick story. A few years back, I was digging through an old coffee can full of pennies, because that's just the kind of thing I do on a Friday night, and I found a 1977 penny without a mint mark. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest. I ran to my coin book, did a quick check, and turns out it wasn't the one. But hey, the thrill of the hunt was real. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. Sometimes it's not just about the money, it's about the excitement, the history, and the stories these coins carry. So what should you do if you think you have one? First, don't clean it. I repeat, do not grab a toothbrush and start scrubbing. Cleaning a coin can actually lower its value. Instead, put it in a protective case and get it professionally graded. Experts at PCGS or NGC can authenticate it and determine its true worth. And hey, even if it doesn't hit the $1 million mark, some of these no-mint mark 1977 pennies have still sold for thousands of dollars. Not too shabby for something you might find in your couch cushions, right? Alright, my fellow coin hunters, now you know the incredible story of the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. If you've got loose change lying around, it might be time for a treasure hunt. Who knows? The next time you check your pocket, you could be holding a tiny copper ticket to millionaire status. And if you love finding out which coins could make you rich, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're always uncovering new hidden treasures, sharing money-making coin strategies, and having a few laughs along the way. Like this video, drop a comment below if you think you might have a rare penny, and hey, go check your change. You never know what you might find. What if I told you that a simple 1975 Lincoln penny, yes, that little copper coin jingling in your pocket, could be worth a whopping $2.2 million? Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln penny and why it has collectors scrambling to find one. And trust me, you're gonna want to check your couch cushions after this one. I once found a wheat penny in my grandpa's old toolbox, and let's just say, I became the family's coin guy overnight. But let's get into it. Why is this 1975 penny so special, and how can you find one? Alright, first things first, what's the deal with this penny? The 1975 Lincoln penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which, back then, didn't mark its coins with a mint mark. Normally, that wouldn't be a big deal. But here's where it gets wild. Some of these pennies were struck using an experimental metal composition, making them one of a kind. Now, let's talk value. The highest recorded sale of one of these rare beauties? $2.2 million. Yes, you heard that right. Someone out there paid $2.2 million for a penny. Imagine walking into a store, handing over a penny, and walking out with a mansion. Well, almost. So, how do you know if you have one? Grab a magnifying glass and check for these signs. This means it was struck in Philadelphia, which is the first clue. The special composition might make it slightly lighter or heavier than a normal penny. Some of these have a shinier or duller look compared to regular pennies. Now, before you run off to dig through every penny jar in your house, let's talk about how to sell one if you do find it. You'll want to get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service, like PCGS or NGC. The better the condition, the higher the value. A well-preserved, high-grade penny could mean life-changing money. Speaking of digging through coins, let me tell you about the time I found a rare coin in the most unexpected place. My car's cup holder. I was on a road trip, reaching for some spare change at a gas station, and boom, there it was, an old silver quarter. I ended up selling it for way more than I expected. So, moral of the story, always check your change. So, there you have it, the 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a tiny copper coin with a mind-blowing price tag. Who knew something so small could be worth millions? Now, before you go turning your house upside down looking for one, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. I post videos every week on coins worth serious money, tips on spotting rare treasures, and strategies to turn pocket change into a gold mine. And trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. we've got a jaw-dropping story about a coin found in a backyard that's worth six figures. All right, folks, let me ask you a question. What if I told you that a single penny, a plain 1-cent coin, could be worth over $2 million? Would you start frantically digging through your couch cushions, flipping over car seats, or raiding your grandma's coin jar? Well, get ready because today we're talking about the 2014 no-mint-mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's currently valued at a jaw-dropping $2.3 million. And I know what you're thinking. How does a modern penny become worth that much? Stay with me, and I'll break it all down in a way that even my dog, Max, could understand. And he once tried to eat a nickel. Let's start with the basics. The 2014 penny, at first glance, looks just like any other 1-cent coin. It's got Honest Abe on the front, the Union shield on the back, and it's made of copper-plated zinc. Nothing fancy, right? Wrong. Because there's a rare error on this particular penny that makes it one of the most valuable modern coins ever. Here's what makes it special. This 2014 penny has no mint mark. Now, you might be saying, hey, I've seen plenty of pennies without mint marks. And you're right. Normally, coins minted in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark. But here's where things get wild. This one wasn't supposed to be minted in Philly. It was mistakenly struck at the San Francisco Mint and somehow got released into circulation. That's like realizing your favorite pizza place secretly has a Michelin star chef making your Friday night pepperoni special. And if that wasn't enough, this penny also has a striking double-die error, meaning the lettering appears slightly doubled. So if your penny looks like it had a few too many drinks and its letters are a little wobbly, hold on to it. Now, here's where the real fun begins. A collector recently shelled out a whopping $2.3 million for this little copper beauty at an auction. Why? Because rare errors like this are incredibly scarce, and hardcore collectors will pay top dollar for a one-of-a-kind piece. It's like finding an original Picasso at a garage sale. You don't question it, you just grab it and run. Now, let me tell you a quick story about why I always check my spare change. A few years ago, I found a 1992 close AM penny. I got so excited I did a happy dance in my kitchen, knocking over my coffee in the process. Turns out, that little penny was worth over $3,000. Ever since then, I make a habit of inspecting every single coin I come across. My family thinks I'm nuts, but when they need advice on valuable coins, guess who they call? That's right, me, the self-proclaimed coin detective. So, how do you find one of these 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies? Well, start by checking your pocket change, piggy banks, and those random jars of coins you've been ignoring. You never know what treasures might be hiding in plain sight. And if you think you've found one, get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service before you start planning your tropical vacation with your new millions. So there you have it, folks. A 2014 penny, something we've all probably spent 100 times over, could be your ticket to life-changing money. It just goes to show that treasure isn't always buried in the ground. Sometimes it's jingling around in your pocket. Now, before you rush off to dump out every coin stash in your house, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I bring you the best tips, strategies, and wildest stories about coins worth money, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Turn on those notifications, drop a comment if you've ever found a rare coin, and let's keep the hunt